Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, I have a very special guest, a returning guest, somebody who I've interviewed about Charles Fort. So I will put a link to our old discussion. I've also been on his podcast called The Outsiders. His name is Tanner Bracken. Last name is spelled Bracken. He comes to us from Texas. And he reached out to me by email because he was following some of my podcasts. And it's really a curious sync or event where I was talking about Civil War, the movie on PsyOp Cinema with Shaun of Wake the Dead. And then I had an interview on Friday. I guess that would be the 12th of July. And I uploaded all my old stuff and my experiences with the assassination of Vince Foster and all the interviews that I've done with kind of DC Dave, Hugh Turley, John Clark, and that whole event that happened in 1993. So I put all that up, and then this kind of event that happened on the 13th of Trump, somebody trying to take a shot at Trump. And in Butler, at this Butler area in kind of north of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. And so I thought, hey, let's talk about it. So I invited Tanner on to talk about it. So Tanner Bracken, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, William. Yeah, it's great to be talking with you again. You're
Yeah.
kind of my go-to to help me filter all this stuff. I know you've got a lot of insider DC experience. You're a lawyer and a researcher, and you've been writing books on this type of stuff for more than a decade, right?
Yeah,
How long have you been at it?
Well, I've been researching probably since the 90s, which is really scary. But I think my first book, I published that in 2010. But I definitely was interested in parapolitics, and part of my studies of JFK too. And there are weird similarities between what happened 2 days ago and the JFK assassination with the Secret Service. Because I've been very fortunate to have really great people who know more about JFK than I do. And one of the components of the JFK assassination was the strange behavior of the Secret Service. And if you watch some of those old videos, I don't know if they even portray it in the JFK movie, but the Secret Service actually moves off of JFK's car at the very end. So it's almost like they create the space to have this event happen. It seems like something like that happened in this event, right? Would you agree with that?
I think so. I haven't analyzed the footage more than twice, but the first time I saw it, I think that's one of the things that kind of struck me subtly is just that there seemed to be a gap in protect. You could chalk it up to just sort of everyone being stunned, but that kind of thing doesn't happen with the Secret Service. They spend their lives waiting for that moment.
Right.
Yeah, I went and rewatched the footage from the attempt on Reagan, and that's pretty impressive. The way they swarm it just immediately. A car door opens because they got the bulletproof window, and then it gets shoved in, and then one guy spreads himself out as a barrier. Oh yeah, just like that.
Right. No,
But
exactly.
it seemed to happen faster. I don't know.
No, I think you're right. But I mean, maybe we can play this. This is new footage from maybe a different angle that people have seen. There was so much. I mean, this is an attempt that took place in media saturation, right? So everybody had a phone. There's tons of people with their phone filming this incredible event that this bullet missed lethal hit by quarter of an inch, really, like millimeters, not inches, but literally if he had turned his head one wrong way or another, you get a shot to the back of your head. That's kind of like where the part of your brain that autonomic activity takes place, breathing and all that stuff. So it's not good. So
yeah,
let's watch this.
There's the Pulitzer Prize winning photograph being taken right there, right?
No doubt. That guy was at the right place at the right time. Incredible. So that was one angle. I have one more. Let me see if I can find the other one. But you also we're going to show a really incredible video of a guy who kind of predicted this, prophesied that he had a prophetic moment that something like this would happen, which is really incredible. But maybe for people who are watching on, I have this on YouTube and X and Rockfin. I'm probably going to move off of YouTube, FYI, and go to Rumble exclusively because YouTube refuses to monetize my content. They say I'm all involved in harmful content. Apparently, I'm harming people by doing investigative journalism, whatever that means. But for people who can't see, the shooter, the so-called shooter, this guy Crooks, 130 yards away, in a probably, if I, even as a rookie, somebody who doesn't own a rifle, I would say that would be the optimal shot to or optimal place to take a shot at somebody on a stand. So for some reason that was available to this shooter, and there were snipers right behind Trump. So you can see those in these videos too. So let me see if I can find the video, the live video of like a broader kind of view of this event. But there's also videos. There's a lot of videos of the shooter. I don't know if people know that, but there's a lot of videos of him on the roof. So there's people saying that. There's also somebody who made statement that there were two shooters, so I can play that too. And then, yeah.
One of the most obvious and immediate things that you kind of have to reckon with in your mind is the perimeters, right? So the Secret Service, they have like a 3-ring perimeter, and there's the immediate perimeter that you saw closing around the president. Then there's sort of the people, on their mics and with weapons. They're in the crowd and in the event, and then there's the outer perimeter, which screens access for presumably miles. You don't know how big the circumference is, but it's just like, how did that guy manage to be there?
I don't know. It's really, and there's interesting that he does not have a very active social media presence for somebody at 20 years old. That's very odd. Like usually a lot of those guys are on some form of social media, Instagram, Facebook, or something like that. But how did he get there? How was he able to kind of take the shot? There's been all statements that have been made that Jill Biden was in Pennsylvania too. So there may have been a movement of resources away from Trump to the first lady, which would actually kind of almost emulate the JFK assassination, right? Like you're taking resources away. So you're making this event more plausible or probable. And actually, 5 days ago, Joe Biden said, as president, Trump is in our sights. Like that may be like not a dual kind of statement where he's saying he's in your sights, but he's also saying we're going ahead with this program. I don't know if he even knows what he's saying, but whoever told him to say that.
Now we're delving firmly into the realm of the conspiracy, right? There are those headlines where, and again, it's like, from my perspective, is this just a stunt to further send the nation into chaos, to further divide?
It would be risky as all heck to have a shot from whatever yardage, whether that's guy's the patsy or whether that's the real guy, 130 yards away. Maybe there's a guy at 450 yards who's the real shooter. I don't know, but that would be a hell of a risk, because if he missed by like a real quarter of an inch, Trump is a goner.
Yeah.
So I just don't believe that. And also, there's another person in the stands behind Trump to his left, if you're watching this, who got a headshot, and I don't know how he caught it because it's not even close to Trump. It's basically 10 feet behind him. Like, how could you do this? He was a firefighter. I have his last name, Costangelo or something like that. But he's confirmed passed away. Like, literally, so there's another death involved in there other than the shooter. So is there a second shooter, or how did this guy, how was he shot in the head? Like, this is a real event. There's blood on the spectators. They pull his body out. It's not a joke. His family says he's dead. So it kind of takes away that, in my mind, that notion that maybe this is some kind of staged event. I don't know how they let Trump, and it kind of goes like, this is incredible. How did they let this happen? How did his own team let it happen? Like, who's watching this? How did they let this happen? It's incredible. The whole
It is
history would have
incredible.
changed of the U.S. and the world would have changed if he got shot in the head, much like Kennedy. The
Yeah.
whole the whole world changed after Kennedy, right? November 22nd, 1963. We went to ramped up in Vietnam, and a real psycho like Johnson was just out of his mind. I call him the id president. Like, he was literally like, if you look at the ego, superego, and id of the
Yeah.
human brain as Freud laid it out, Johnson was like lying, rapist, cheater, thief, like almost every 7 deadly sins he was involved with. And
Probably tied to multiple murders. Yeah.
tons of murders in Texas. Yeah, even before that, and even during his vice presidency, right? So even as he was in the Oval Office, people were dying in Texas. So anyway, let's watch this one. This is kind of, I think this is from Fox TV. This is the one that I first posted when it first happened. So this is Fox.
Something that said, take a look at what happened.
But if you watch this, you can see that people are looking to Trump's right. So if you look in the background, Tanner, you can see this guy in the hat looking to his right. This African-American woman looking to her right. Fully looking to his right. Trump is looking to his right too. So they sense, I think, something is up with whatever. They either saw people moving or something strange was happening. So it's almost like Trump was keying into it. And then the shots ring out. And somebody, so there was I'm not a gun specialist, but somebody said it was a subsonic suppressed rifle. So it's kind of like a suppressed rifle, but if it's subsonic, it doesn't crack like a rifle.
Not as loud. Yeah, it doesn't break the sound barrier. See, you would just expect that the response would be faster. Maybe that's unrealistic, but when you hear the cracks and then everyone has time to turn and then you're just waiting for his protection, you'd expect that some of those plainclothes people would be Secret Service. I don't know.
I would think so.
Or that there would be a hatch in the with the tech we have today, just you think there'd be a more immediate preventative reaction.
Why isn't it like they had the hit on the Pope, and the Pope was in like the Pope vehicle, and a lot of these guys have huge plastic, barriers. Why doesn't Trump have that? Doesn't he know he's a target? Like, they're talking about killing him all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I have a Goldman clip. This guy's from the House of Representatives. He says that he has to be eliminated. Like, those are kind of killing terms.
There's a lot of that kind of language, and of course they're not held accountable for it. Even in the wake of this, they won't be. The ones who are inciting that kind of violence to their language. But I just wonder if that's not the point, the theatrics of it all. And what's the fruit of this event going to be on the country? Like Lenin said, like Walter Sobchak from The Big Lebowski, quoting Lenin, who benefits? You look to see who's going to benefit, dude.
It's a good point. I heard that all the online ammo stores shut down from overuse after the event. Like, people were like, I got to get more ammo. So
that doesn't surprise me. Yeah,
that's a rumor that I heard. Okay, let's see what this is. The first depiction of this, the first video of this that I saw.
They see something that said, take a look at what happened.
It is weird though. There's a picture of this woman right here. Like, everybody's getting down and moving. This woman on the right,
she has phone up.
Yeah, she doesn't even respond like in a self, like, I could get shot. She immediately puts her phone up. Isn't that incredible?
To be fair, she's probably lost in like influencer land. She's probably doing a selfie or something.
It is. Just watch her. Like, it is weird. Like, I got to get this on tape. Dude, phone comes up.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And then there's the hobo.
Yeah, the hobo is supposedly JFK Jr.
JFK Jr. Yeah.
Right.
That's just where does that stuff come
That's
from?
Q. That's the Q influence on our day-to-day lives.
Yeah, just the breakdown of critical thought.
But if you look at the upper right-hand side here, there's somebody caught a bullet, but it's not really kind of close to Trump. So I don't know how that guy got shot. I haven't determined it. He wasn't in the line of fire. So like the trajectories don't add up in my mind, and that's something I need more information.
You
about.
could surmise that maybe it was, maybe the shooter was taking a bullet and Alter just, I don't know how fast they were shooting him, but again, it's just like you count the seconds between the time of the first gunshot and even when he's here, and then you're just waiting, and then finally they come to him. That's really where we're at in this modern age, where there's just no protection for you when you're in public like that. I have such a hard time accepting that that's the best they could do.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Let's see it. But they're confused. They don't know where the bullets are coming from. It seems like this guy's scanning what happened.
Please see something that said.
Watch how many bullets do you hear?
1, 3.
Oh, so that was sorry, that was let me go back over. But you can just tell by the sound the bullets are like suppressed or something. But he definitely got clipped in his ear. Like, I don't think that's fake.
Please see something that said. Take a look at what happened.
Okay, so it's hard to know. Like you if you wanted to play devil's advocate, you could say, well, an agent is down there right now, sticking a jab. There was, poking a hole in his ear. But
yeah, possibly.
Just
I've heard
speculating.
I've heard the same thing, that the kill shot on Reagan wasn't from Hinckley. It was from an agent who got in the car with Reagan and put a gun up against his chest and shot it. Have you heard that story? Yeah, so like that was the real shooter. So Hinckley was the patsy, right?
No, but
yeah. So Hinckley's the patsy, and then somebody really got close to Reagan because Reagan shot, ricocheted through his chest, and then hit one of his ribs internally and came back out. So he was really on the edge of death. But yeah, wow, crazy. Let me see if I can pull up some other. Here's the TMZ. I'll pull up the TMZ coverage of the shooting because it shows the shooter on the roof, and all the people know that he's there. Like, a lot of people haven't seen this video, but you can go see on TMZ.
I have not seen it.
Okay, watch this.
Oh my God.
Somebody thinks that this woman is saying Crooks, that they know his name already. What? I don't know if it sounds like Crooks or Ross. So let's listen to that again. You can see him right there. So that's like the top of his head. There he is right there. So he's laid down on this kind of roof. But let's see if this sounds like Ross or Crooks to you. I don't know.
She's calling her son or her husband Ross. Yeah.
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
He's turning this way. Be careful, guys. That guy was a little pure-blooded.
Yeah, crazy. Wow. Huh? I think he's dead now, so that's why they blurred it out.
Okay.
Because I think that TMZ blurred it out. But
wow,
the audio's there. Like I mean, here's another one. There's like a mix. Let me see if I can pull up the two shooters. This woman flat out says, like, there's two shooters, which is okay, whatever. I mean, you got to take this all with a grain of salt. We're still kind of here's two people shot in the stand. Let's see.
We just learned, Joseph, you weren't listening to the program here, but Lester Holt, NBC News, just reporting that one of the attendees has died from injuries as a result of the shooting. Joseph, you told me off camera that you may have witnessed this, and I'm so sorry to be talking to you in this tragic moment. Can you describe what it is that you saw?
I was attending a rally. I was in the set of bleachers, the very far left of the podium where President Trump was speaking. I was there with friends. I heard several gunshots. The man beside me, several gunshot went to the head, was instantly killed. Fell to the bottom of the bleachers. Another woman looked like she got hit in the forearm or hand. And then at that point in time, it was rather chaotic at that point because half the people were looking for the couple fireworks, and it was gunshots right away. My friend, he hit the deck. I was kind of looking around trying to see where the shots were coming from. It seemed like the shots were coming from behind bleachers.
So this is like a confirmed death. This is the guy dead in the stands. There's no question about it. The guy, if you look at the very back there, he has kind of a white hat on. He's actually an ER doctor, and he's helping with him, but I think he was already gone. Like, he was just in really bad shape.
Well, we know that in the past they aren't beyond killing civilians, right?
No
in
way.
order to to sell a story. I mean, that's no barrier to any kind of lie that what they want to tell.
Yeah, there's a dead guy on the bleachers there. There's no question about it. And they pull him out. That's him right there. You can just see the head wound, unfortunately.
Oh man.
Super bloody, yeah. They're giving CPR.
What a nightmare.
Yeah. But see, do you see what I'm saying? Like, how did he get shot when he's not even close to Trump? Like you said, it must have been he moved his rifle. But that's a person, yeah. That's not a body. You can watch the other videos. He's standing there. They got him out of there. This guy had blood on his shirt. This African American guy, white shirt. He doesn't know what to do.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah. One of the interesting things about this was how bad the reporting on the TV was. Like there was such crazy, like they just Trump trips and gets walked off stage or something. Like literally.
There again, are they buffoons or are they up to something? Are they trying to piss us off? Right?
Yeah,
they're not that dumb. They know what they're doing, don't they?
I think they know what they're doing. I think you're right. I think you can deduce that they knew they were going to cover it up. And so they were not going to report if and when the shooting happens. They weren't going to break. Like back in the day, they used to do it. I don't watch that much TV news, only when I'm trying to see what propaganda they're putting out. But back in the day, they would say breaking news, right? Do, something like that, and break in with a new thing. It didn't happen with Trump. Let's look at this. This is amazing.
I first saw it on my Instagram feed. I thought it was Russell Brand, actually. He was the first one I saw. He posted, I don't even remember what the post was, but it was like, this just happened. And
I saw it on X. And then I I didn't have time to kind of put together a slideshow, but I took screenshots of almost every major outlet, and they all just wouldn't say assassination attempt.
I wish I had done that. I would scroll through, show my wife. I was like, look at this. You can't
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you because once I put it up, I mean, I've gotten to the point where I try to screenshot stuff and then I put it on my hard drive. So like nobody can.
I went searching today through my Google browser and it's scrubbed. Like
scrubbed already. Wow.
Yeah, you got to dig for it. You got to go through a Fox portal and say, because they'll have written an article about all the bad reporting CNN's done. But
somebody did something very clever here where they merged the kind of public's video with the video of the shooting. So you could see the people screaming that there's a guy on the roof while Trump is still talking. So like there was no meeting of like get Trump off the stage or something. And so, I mean, watch this.
We're doing this job. I wouldn't even be doing this. I think it's some beautiful place with the gorgeous ocean.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there.
By the way, if you look, this is a cop. So the cop is very close to the roof, too.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
That's a policeman right there.
Yeah.
So he's literally just like 10 yards away from the shooter.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. You see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
Why is that guy so calm? I guess he assumes it's like a sniper for the
What's happening?
Secret Service.
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look.
And it's
There he
not
is.
easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. And it's much tougher than if it happened. We have the strongest border ever.
I can't believe
In
that.
recorded history, we're the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do
It
you?
shows how long he was on the
Because
roof.
these teleprompters are so damn boring. I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow.
See, this is very clever because they timed it on the audio, right? So you could hear the audio in the background while the member of the public is taking video of this guy on the roof. He's clearly there and moving
It's
a lot.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Wouldn't you just assume that they've got, I don't know, 1,000 agents in the vicinity with special microphones listening to every conversation, or at least you just expect that this tech is working to do what it's capable of doing.
Right. That's why people are saying it's stand down. That's why it's
Yeah.
like super suspicious. It does not add up.
You
But
guys
look
are
at how-
doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit of
So these guys in the far left, you can see them. They're moving away from the shooter.
that chart.
And then if you look at the far corner, you can see a guy in red. He's literally running to get behind a tree. So he sees the shooter. You can watch him, and everybody's watching this. He moves to get behind the tree. Watch.
If you want to see something to say.
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
I don't know if it's a stray bullet, but if you look up at this shot right here, there's clearly like some kind of like tractor or John Deere trailer, and it looks like a hydraulic part of it gets hit,
Yeah.
and you can see the steam spray out. Watch.
Yeah, I saw that.
On the upper left.
We got breaking news. We got breaking news coming in tonight.
Oh, maybe I missed it. I don't know. Yeah, there it is. See that steam come out, or water, or whatever it is. I think it's water.
It's maybe it's water. It's probably, it might be hydraulic fluid under pressure. But
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
in fact, you saw the boom lowering as it got hit. You can
Yeah,
see
the
the
boom
boom
was down,
lowering,
yeah.
loss of pressure. So it'll be interesting to see all the analytics. You know, the scientists who come and triangulate all this stuff and have to account for things like that, how it all plays out.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of work to be done, and like they're saying, well, we can't come to any on TV. It's like we can't come to any conclusions until the FBI takes a look, and the FBI is like so corrupt. Like that's the last thing anybody in the public would want to hear. Like once the FBI, I mean, I've had the misfortune of studying so many other assassinations, particularly the RFK assassination, where the FBI was deliberately fudging everything, you know, like they were deliberately intimidating witnesses. You didn't see that. No, you didn't see that. No, you didn't see the girl with the polka dot dress. No. So, especially like in the politicized environment now, do you think that the water moved that bullet? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I read something today from the guy who ran Blackwater, whose name I can't remember, but he said that Trump survived because there was a mild wind, and you can see the flag moving in the background, and that the shooter did not account for this wind, and that's why the bullet grazed him instead of blowing his head off.
Well, that would assume a knowledge of the shooter's, accuracy and training. But yeah, it sounds good.
Which is mysterious. Like, how's this 20-year-old able to? I mean, I guess it's an easy shot for certain people. I guess that's Eric Prince. Thank you, Wally. I guess it's an easy shot for certain people. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, me neither. But yeah, just regarding the mishandling of or the suppression of the truth in these assassinations, right? We're already still kind of like, we were shell shocked from the Kennedy assassinations, and then the decades pass and everybody's kind of over it. Well, now we're talking about it again. Have you noticed it's been getting a lot of media coverage, I guess, in alternate spaces, but people are talking about JFK, and Trump was even talking about releasing the JFK files more recently again.
Right.
Just the distrust has to be at an all-time high, right?
I think so. I think you're right. I don't think people are going to buy this one. That it's just a lone shooter. Even at this point, there's so much at stake. That it's not surprising. I think that they tried to get him every other way: criminal, character assassination. So the only thing left is just assassinate. And this isn't.
Sorry. Did you see that Huffington Post headline?
No, I did not.
I'll just read it. Supreme Court gives Joe Biden the legal okay to assassinate Donald Trump. That was a week ago. I think that was July 1st. So that's the kind of rhetoric that's coming out of these spaces, And basically, they're complaining about Supreme Court ruling that, basically gave him, because of his presidency, it gave him sort of an insulation from prosecution. What was the exact language? Has full immunity for official acts, right? So the Supreme Court's decision that granted him full immunity for official acts, and their whining response was, well, then Joe Biden can have full immunity for an official act of assassinating Donald Trump.
Crazy. It's crazy. Do you think that?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. You just I just look at myself. How does that play on me? And I see it as irresponsible rhetoric. But then in the wake of this and in proximity of time, it's hard not to think that it's a narrative, a constructed narrative, right? I mean, I don't know what kind of reach the Huffington Post actually has, but
you see kind of similarities permeate leftist, places, like in their kind of own groups, in their own social media. They repeat all that stuff. There's a lot of hostility, like super hostile, like we should kill Trump, like he's that bad.
Yeah, you can feel it when they speak,
Yeah.
I mean, and again, I guess that comes with the territory of modern politics, right? It's so different now. They're so out of control. There's no self-control, and they don't hide their disdain, their hatred.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like they're so anti-hate, but they can't hold back their hatred for Trump at all. And maybe like the MAGA too, like they really hate the whole MAGA thing or whatever it is.
Yeah. And even on both sides, it just makes you wonder, okay, the people who are in charge of this messaging, they're old enough and wise enough, and they're learned enough. They understand the consequence of their words, right? They know what they're doing. So what's implied is that they're doing it on purpose. They're creating division. And I'm just in this headspace of basically the order from chaos theory, right? Where I kind of think that it's, for lack of knowing exactly, I can chalk a lot of it up to the Freemasonic code, ordo ab chaos, right? You create chaos so that you can implement your order. And we've heard that kind of language throughout the decades. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some kind of weird thing going on. People brought up the Illuminati game by Steve Jackson, like bring out the sniper and it looks like Trump. It's weird. So there's kind of like this parapolitical occult thing going on that's odd, but the timing seems right. Like I think that somebody said that the RNC convention is like next week, right? So that's in Milwaukee. So it was like take him out now before he even announces his vice presidency, right? So then they're in even more chaos. You want to talk about a different order from chaos or whatever. But yeah, that's just crazy.
So talking about the media response, right? You had people ridiculing Trump. So ridiculous. That frame right there, fist in the air, and he's famously saying, fight, right? Before he's whisked away, he says, wait, let me get my shoes on. Well, there's the metaphor. I'm going out with my boots on, right? I'm going out of here with my shoes on. And then he says, "All right, are we ready?" And then he stops him one more time. It's iconic, and
Yeah.
you can't fake that kind of courage, right? So regardless of whether or not
Yeah,
there
that's
was
why
foreknowledge,
yeah, that's why they have to say it's staged, or
yeah,
whatever. Like, this is fixed because there's already this kind of informational warfare reshaping of the event already, like, taking place on social media and mass media.
but you had
So
one reporter saying, Trump's response, that's not what we need right now. He's inciting violence. Okay, so the guy just got shot, and you're going to critique him for his fight instinct,
right,
No, that can't play well with even their own audience, right? Right?
yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
are there
so.
people who would agree with that? Oh, he shouldn't have said that. He shouldn't have stood up after having been shot. Not even, maybe he's got an earpiece and he knows the guy's down now, but I mean,
But there were other
wow.
left wing shooters, right? Wasn't the Steve Scalise guy? He shot all those guys at the softball field. Remember that? He
Yeah.
almost killed him. He was the Speaker of the House. The other people got shot. So then there's this shooting, and what other kind of left on right? I guess the whole kind of BLM riots were off the charts, where tons of
Most
people got
definitely.
shot, right? Cops got shot. So them kind of saying, like, the insurrectionists or whatever happened at the Capitol, people died. Like, there's deaths on both sides. So when you see this in context, I think it gets more profound too.
Yeah. I can't help but remember that January 6th moment.
Yeah.
It's a different scenario, but it feels something about it feels familiar in that same way. Of course, the only person who got shot and killed in that incident was a female protester climbing up the side of a wall, right?
Yeah, I think so. They overstated. The left always says 5 people died. I think one guy died of a stroke. There was a heart attack, but they always like try to, pump up the numbers and say they killed 5 people. But there were thieves and stuff. There was some Nazi girl who stole Pelosi's laptop, but nobody had a gun. So
Right. Yeah.
it's kind of silly to say it was an insurrection. It was a protest against what they perceive as a stolen election.
That was an interesting litmus test for me, right? Because you'd say, okay, this clearly was not an insurrection. We're the most armed nation on the planet, and everyone shows up without weapons to take over
Right.
the Capitol. And
Yeah.
it just felt like we were being walked through a play.
Right. So it's almost like a parapolitical psychodrama or something. Like, it's a fake psycho, but it's supposed to have the most psychological impact. So these events are morphed or changed to have as much political impact on everybody through deception, right? So I think that
Yeah.
these are the same. So this is even one of those events
Yeah.
where both people are trying to maximize the psychodrama, is really the way I put it, because they don't just sit back and watch. They have to put it through some kind of prism or some kind of lens of what happened. Like, oh, he's instigating violence by saying fight, fight, fight. Like, you got to minimize it right away. But I want to play this. Is from Ken Silva. I've had him on my show, great journalist. But he posted somebody, like, this is a first person shoot. This is the stuff that disappears after 48 hours, right? So you have like a time frame. It's almost like a criminal, like the 48 hours TV show, where, like, you only have 48 hours to get the real truth before the fake narrative comes in. But this is like right away. This woman gets interviewed.
As you're out of there, as you're starting to process this, I know we'll all be processing this over the coming days and weeks. How are you feeling now in this moment?
Well, what I've heard coming out here is now they feel that there was 2 shooters on both sides. So they got the one on the tower on this side, but the one on the right side they never got. So that's why they wanted us to leave immediately, because they thought there's still a shooter out there somewhere. So there could be in these woods around Butler.
Erin, I've covered many Trump rallies. I don't know how many you've been to.
My 6th. This is yours. I was here. I was the 4th car in the parking lot this morning.
You're out of there as you're
Watch this again, because I don't think that's elicited.
You're out of there as you're you're starting to process this. I know we'll all be processing this over the coming days and weeks. How are you feeling now in this moment?
Well, what I've heard coming out here is now they feel that there was 2 shooters on both sides. So they got the one on the tower.
So when she says they, that means that it's not just her, right?
Yeah.
So this reporter is not asking for that response, but this lady wants to get it out there. So it's interesting. Yeah.
Wouldn't you immediately say who's they? Right? Or she
I would
knows
think
already?
so. I don't know. You would think, right?
Yeah.
The other one I want to play is this one, which is really incredible because Trump gets shot, and there's a woman who was involved in the whole vaccine situation, whose name I think was, I can't remember right now, but she started playing the news in Times Square, and they're not covering anything about this incredible event, this world-shattering event that would have changed political history of America forever. But watch this. This is really something else. Watch this.
Now, on the other side,
Simon Gold.
friends, I'm in the middle of Times Square, and I just got the news that President Donald Trump has been shot, and I'm completely shocked. I've heard it appears he's okay, but look behind me. I'm in the center of Times Square. There's huge video monitors behind me, huge TVs behind me. Not a single report on the news about the president being shot. Now, on the other side of Times Square, we're looking over Times Square. This is the center of New York. You see all those video monitors outside? Right? See all this? None of them are reporting that the presidential candidate for the Republican Party has been shot. Not a word. Look at that. If anybody has any doubt about the depth of the censorship and propaganda that we are living in the 21st century in 2024, have no doubts anymore. Presidential candidate has been shot, and not a single mention of it in the center of Times Square. All of these videos, right? All of these videos. Not a mention. Stay informed.
To me, that's just incredible. That's like,
why? Okay, so why is that? Let's assume that this event played out organically. Why would the media outlets? What do you think they were thinking in the moment? If this is an organic event and they're not colluding in some way,
right? Because they're colluding. Because they probably, I think you can deduce from this that they're trying to cover it up. That they don't want to cover, like one of the most important stories of our lives is the attempted blowing off the head of the president. And literally, was it the right? It was the right, height, but it just missed him. So I think that it just shows. Also, it's really scary dystopian hellscape of They Live Levels media, where it's all what was the act that they put out in the 90s, where all these media companies could all kind of be owned by 4 big companies. Like it's like freaking rollerball. Like that's how bad it is. Because I was on that story right away. Like once I saw it on social media, I was like, did he get shot? Like I was like, I understood how important it was. You would think all of these media things would stop.
There's not, so it tells you what their motivation is. It's not to make money. It's because they make money by views, and it's not selling newspapers or whatever.
I think so.
They are an arm of this deep state information control bit.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think it's become almost like a cartel or something. So Bill Gates makes tons of money selling software, right? He becomes a billionaire. He diversifies. He gets into other things, but then he buys MSNBC, right? Microsoft NBC. So anything that he wants that facilitates his wealth, he puts that on MSNBC. So he goes on there to sell the kill shot and all this other stuff, right? So he can make more money. So maybe that's really what happens when you're super wealthy, is you buy media companies, and you, just like Washington Post, you expect to lose money, but you expect to facilitate and propagandize for your own interests, whatever it is. So I think maybe Trump is really just a threat to a lot of those people and a lot of the oligarchs. Really, it's an oligarchical thing, right? So I think that's really it. And so then they team up to get together to try to get him aced, and it doesn't go as planned.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they're in panic right now because they all know the shot missed, and they're like, well, we were supposed to go live and say he got his head blown off. Maybe that would have been the real breaking news. It's like Trump is dead, right? But he's not dead.
I just imagine all the reporters chomping at the bit, right? And then rushing to their editors, like, you have to get editor approval, I guess, for this stuff. Even in the day of instant news, right? They can't just put a headline out.
Good point.
Gotta go to their editors. It reminded me of your conversation the other day about, there were like 100 or more squashed news stories surrounding that. His name just escaped
Vince
me.
Foster?
Vince Foster. Yeah. And the editors were just squashing them one after the other.
No
So
question.
who are they
manipulating,
beholden to?
And manipulating it too.
Yeah.
Like the weird thing is, like, the only guy telling the truth were smaller, kind of independent guys, and a guy from England, right? His name was Ambrose Evans Pritchard. Like, everybody else was just part of the whole system. So it goes back to my point of, like, these are kept journalists meant to facilitate oligarchical power. That's really what their job is. So you're never going to get these truths. You're never going to get people doing incisive, meaningful investigative journalism from these guys, because they're not paid to do that. They're paid to obfuscate. There was a kind of a guy who left the New York Times, I think in the 40s or 50s, and people in the journalism would know this guy's name, but he wrote something that said, I was never a journalist. After he retired, I said, I was never a journalist. I just wrote information that benefited these wealthy people. He actually came clean.
Oh man. Let me just kind of share my take on this.
Okay.
And to do that, I'm going to quote somebody else. Are you familiar with James Delingpole?
Yes.
You know him?
Name sounds
Okay.
familiar, yeah. I think he has a podcast too, right?
Yeah, he's a podcaster, but I guess, and he's an author. He wrote a book called Watermelons, kind of what he believed to be an expose on the falsity of the climate situation. But this, I look into his thoughts every once in a while, and he wrote this, and not even in the context of this assassination attempt, but I'm quoting James now. He said, to understand how the world works, and if you don't understand this, you really don't understand much. You need to appreciate that politics and geopolitics and pretty much everything else from economics to the entertainment industry are all designed to serve the interests of an oligarchy, the predator class, which rules by manipulation and deception. It really doesn't matter whether or not 33rd degree Mason Albert Pike said, whenever the people need a hero, we shall supply him. Even if he didn't say it, the method described is ubiquitous to the point of cliche. That just reflects my sentiments exactly. And it's cynical, right? And unfortunately, it also seems to reflect some of the messaging coming out of the left, right? Oh, well, they're just trying to lionize Trump. Oh, this was exactly what his campaign needed, or whatever. But
he was solidly is going to win the nomination or whatever, right? So he's definitely ahead of the RNC. But I think that the propaganda is so vicious from these media things. Even Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, they report in lockstep. Like, this is just one example. This woman, Dr. Simone Gold, just caught this one event of this massive censorship of the most important story of the year, at least. But there was another one where they're putting out this thing where they literally, the guy was Brett Baer said, we got a poll coming out that Joe Biden is 3 points ahead of Trump in the most recent presidential polling. It's just total preposterous nonsense.
Nobody believes that.
No, but it's not even close. Like, I think that a guy who I respect, an independent whose name I can't remember, it's not the Rasmussen, but actually polled and said that the approval rating of Joe Biden's like 15%. Like, it's nothing. Like, nobody likes the guy. It's all fake. And everything about them is fake, Biden and Kamala. Nobody ever liked either of them. Like, they had to cheat to get into power. So it's just, these are what are being propagated by these oligarchs, is like, just like you said, just like you quoted Delingpole, lies and deception. And people have to see through it. These are evil freaking people. And they are willing to kill. They almost blew. I mean, and it was interesting too. There was a writing from Melania, kind of a heartfelt, like, this is a real person. This is my husband. Yeah. Think of him as a person. He's the father of my child. He's thoughtful, like, meaningful. Like, they see this one side. The left is very poisonous in the fact that they caricature people like Putin and Trump, which Trump is a bombast. He knows how to get media, but they take away strip him of humanity. And that's like the first thing you do before you kill somebody is you like, oh, this guy's freaking literally Hitler. They literally published in the New Republic a picture of Trump with a freaking Hitler mustache. Like, it's such a joke. Like, these people on the left should all be embarrassed. These pseudo so-called intellectuals are all venal, poisonous, Zyklon B for the culture and American society. They're an embarrassment. And Trump, in a way, has to take a little bit of that blame too. But it's.
I agree. Yeah, that's the important question for me is how much blame. If both sides are playing at this game, that's
right.
Knowing that is the key. Because it's a false empowerment if we're hoping in one side or the other, and they're both really it's like a uniparty, as some people say.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I don't know.
Well, it's a good point. I like the way you say uniparty because Biden and Trump are similar on two things. They're both uniformly pro-Israel, so they're both total Zionists. Trump's daughter is married to a full Zionist, and they're both for the shot.
That's right.
Population shot. So people who think that you're kind of getting some total change is they're deceiving themselves.
That's where I'm at. That's not the point of our discussion, but yeah, that's when that's what I took as my cue to leave the hope tent, the Trump hope tent, as far as when he rolled out the warp speed and he said, I'm going to mobilize the National Guard to give these shots. And I was like, oh, no, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm all for choice, I'm not against.
Yeah.
But
no,
yeah, that scared me.
Can we play that prophecy clip that you told me about?
Yeah.
Brought up. Let's see if we can bring that up. You say it's on top, like right here, this guy, right?
Yeah, that guy with the Hawaiian shirt.
Where should I start it?
10 minutes and 50 seconds, I think, is where I found.
Okay, let's start it right here.
Trump, and I saw a red wave coming out of Michigan, and then I saw Oklahoma, and there was embers of people, and they were all on they had torches all throughout Oklahoma, and they were raising up these torches that looked like fire, and they were bringing forth a new patriotism upon the nation. And it was being birthed, and it just kept spreading like fire all throughout America, all throughout. And I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking. People say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. And then I saw people interceding I saw him winning the presidency through great. The Lord showed me it would go clear into the summer. Great persecution would come on him through the judges and through the law and all these people trying to sue him and all this stuff. But there would be a stop to it, and things would start to break free come toward the fall. And then I saw him winning the election through the Patriots coming out and voting, and then there will be a great economy crash. Yeah. I saw they had a great economy plan, a crash. Yeah. Worse than the Great Depression. And the Lord warned me about this. It would be a great dark time. But I saw paddles coming upon America's soil like a shocking of the soil. And I saw Donald Trump praying in the office of the Oval Office. And he was weeping before the Lord with his hands on his head like this, but he was weeping. And there was ministers and people. I don't know if they were senators or Congress people or whatever. I just saw them pacing and back and forth inside of the White House. What is the White House? But it's the Oval Office. Yeah. And they were interceding all inside there, and I could feel the presence of the Lord so strong on this. And then I could see that darkness that was the heaviness upon America with the financial crisis of what I saw coming. It started to lift above the trees, and I saw the blue and the things coming back out, and the green times and the good times coming back again. But the Lord said it would be forth a time of a season of a shaking, and it would be a shaking to awaken. And in this, this would basically that He was not done with America. There would be a great revival come, and It's not all doom and gloom. That's what he said. The sky's not falling. There's a time of, it's like people would say, this is judgment. And the Lord said, do not call this judgment. It's not my judgment. It's a correction. There's a correction coming.
I want to ground it in the Word of God.
Oh, that's amazing. That's 4 months ago. So that's proven.
Yeah.
I just downloaded the video. So that guy, wow, that's something.
How does it align with biblical prophecy? How can you, how does it strike you? I mean, aside from the sort of amazingly almost accurate vision he had of Trump's assassination attempt, what do you make of it? I'm thinking of Nostradamus. You're almost exact, right? He's like Hitler instead of Hitler, and then there's just all this other kind of ethereal stuff happening.
But he's correct. I think that we're at the edge of a financial collapse. So I think that these two, he got it right. He got one right, and I think the collapse is coming. So it's just a matter of time. Everybody knows it. Even the head of the Fed knows it. So I hope that he's right and that it is only a correcting, and it's not the end of America. It's not the end of us. So
yeah, me too. Or I hope it doesn't happen at all. But it seems inevitable, right?
It is inevitable. You cannot sustain paying debt like this, trillions of dollars to finance your debt, and they spent like crackheads. So it's like this is inevitable. In the interest rates, people are going to be angry. So it's bad. It's really interesting too. The predictions, people said that they were going to kill Trump. Like people did say that. Tucker said that.
I heard that
Carlson.
about how did he say that? Do you remember? Kind of language he used?
He said, I think it was in a thing, they're going to start a war with Russia, which they tried, and they actually killed a couple kids in Crimea. So curse on their house. You go after civilians, you're the worst of the worst, and that's what Blinken and these. I can't even blame Biden because he doesn't even know where he is. But the people running the country, for them to do that to some kids, you can burn in hell. But he said war with Russia, and then the shot. There was it's hard to figure out what really happened, but obviously there's a crazy person at the wheel of the government, but they okayed the use of longer range weaponry in Ukraine. And there was supposedly this allowance for targeting inside of Russia, something they've never done. So somebody shot, and they had to have done it with American U.S. skill, or what they had to. I forgot what the name of this weapon is. AWACS.
Oh, the cluster bomb. Yeah,
right. But only the Americans can have the sophisticated technical capacity to operate it. So they operated it. They shot these things at Crimea, which was formerly a disputed land. As far as I'm concerned, it's Russia.
Yeah, and
Russians intercepted every one of the missiles except one, which was a cluster bomb, which landed at some beach in Crimea and killed like 2 children.
That's right. I heard about that.
Yeah, very evil. Like it wasn't covered. Obviously, it wasn't covered on this corporate news. Like that corporate news, that Simone Rose video is so important on so many levels, because it's like you're in the Truman Show. Like some of this stuff never comes out to the public. This rocket attack on Crimea. So, and this is going back to that oligarchical control, like rollerball, where people are like living in some kind of fake universe where they're just lying to you by omission, not telling you the real stories and stuff like that. That's why the rise, maybe even me too, is like the rise of the independent citizen journalist is so important. Like you don't hear these stories. Like it's so stupid. Like this whole encroachment upon Russia, they're always, Biden and his administration cannot stop lying. They're pathological liars. There's no question about it. We know who the father of lies are if you're Christian. These are obviously evil people, but they cannot stop lying. But the whole encroachment on the Russian territory is backed by the U.S. The U.S. is behind Ukraine. They own Zelensky. NATO is basically our whipping boy. There's a lot more inappropriate terms to use for that, but we're the one behind all that stuff. So the encroachment on Russia and the creation of this war goes back to U.S. influence. 100% true. So don't talk about Putin being a tyrant or whatever. The real tyrant, they have to blame Putin. Like you always have to have a Goldstein, right?
Well, it's a war crime to use those cluster bombs in the first place.
There you go. These are war criminals.
What's
They're child
interesting,
killers and war
yeah.
criminals. There's no
What's
question about it.
interesting is how they weaponize these against our own citizenry. How they divide us. They take these issues. It's one thing to do what you want internationally and kind of do it on the down low, like it seems like they used to do, right? And occasionally something will get exposed, but the average citizen was just going to work, noticing if the gas prices went up, noticing how much a gallon of milk costs. But now they're using it to divide us.
Yeah.
That these are the talking points today, and you hear people like Tucker say, well, most Americans can't point to Ukraine on the map. Well, that's not why it doesn't matter, but it matters, obviously. But just it's the type of language that they use, and you can feel the intention when they publish these kinds of stories, and they weaponize the information so that we will hate each other.
Absolutely. I
it's
think
just,
it's all by intent. Like
yeah,
you got to have this, conflict or whatever.
yeah. It's such an unfortunate
Yeah,
scenario.
yeah. We're in a tough spot. Like we're run by very, very evil people. Putin never did anything bad to me, so I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get the Russia hatred. It's obviously an oligarchical construct. Like I don't think it has anything to do with the people. It's them competing at some kind of hyper-national problem, and they want all of Russia's resources. They've always coveted Russia's resources. Even when the Soviet Union broke down, right? There was this whole issue of their oligarchs, the Russian oligarchs, being influenced by the U.S. and the control of their abundant natural resources, as huge as landmass or country in the world, right? So I think we're just pawns and they're like playing games because they're above the consequences of any of their actions, which is really incredible. We have to endure the consequences. So we endure the breakdown of the border. We endure the higher prices for food. We endure the higher interest rates. We get siphoned off 40% of our income. We get propagandized. Like you said, we learned how to hate the wrong people. So it's really bad. It's freaking horrible. You read about it, this is like the worst dystopia in human history. We're at the edge of like thermonuclear war. The Russians keep saying we have nuclear bombs. We have nuclear bombs at the ready. And if this is an existential problem, we have nuclear bombs.
They're going to deal with it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's so crazy. And I mean, apparently, when this whole bombing that took place, this is like what I heard through the grapevine. When this bombing in Crimea occurred, there was a whole meeting of people. It didn't take place at the White House. They all went to Obama's mansion in D.C., where there's a SCIF, right? Compartmentalizes informational facility. So it's not, the decisions aren't even being made at the White House. Yeah, that's how messed up it is. It's totally dysfunctional. Totally dysfunctional. And there's a huge battle. They tried to get rid of Biden. So why wouldn't they try to get rid of Trump? Because they tried to get rid of Biden. The Biden family stepped in and said, no, he's not going down. Jill and this crackhead Hunter. So there was a little battle within the Democratic Party. So
the notion of them trying, right? When you assess the level of control that they have, the level of technology, the resources that they have, for me to say that they try without succeeding, it just seems ridiculous. I guess I imagine if I had those resources, I would never fail at anything, right? You plan and you do things to the letter and they play out to the letter per your expectations. I just have such a hard time accepting that it's buffoonery. I think it's all orchestrated.
I think you're right. I don't think there's any mistakes, but I think this was a mistake. I think they really intended to kill Trump. I think I think it was literally a quarter inch. They would never play around with that. And I think that's why the headshot, that was the intent, not for the center of mass, or they could have shot him in the neck or the chest or something with a high powered bullet. They really wanted to have an explosive headshot for the public, Apparently, one of the other stories, Tanner, is that apparently the mass media, the corporate media, doesn't really follow him around on a lot of his speeches, but they were all there for this one. Like that's what my understanding.
It's anomalous, right? Just as a statistician, you can say, well, that's different. Why'd that happen?
That, right. Anyway, we are at the hour mark. I mean, you've been doing a lot of different stuff on your podcast, right? I mean, I've seen you doing a lot of UFO research and things like that. Why don't you let people know kind of what you're up to?
Well, so I have the Outskirts Podcast with Tanner and friends, and it's been strictly audio up until about a month or so ago. I launched a YouTube account, and you're actually my second guest that we'll put up on the YouTube channel.
Cool.
So I got a new format. I'm just calling it a chin wag, and it's just this, where I just have kind of open, freewheeling discussions with friends and experts such as yourself. So thank you again for inviting me to come and talk with you and learn from you.
The timing was perfect because it was strange that those were the things that I was talking about, Civil War and assassination, and then it's like this event happens. Like,
I've just been deep diving into those Vince Foster episodes you re-released, because actually when we had our first interview a year or more ago, that was kind of new to me, what you shared with me there about, you were working in DC at the time and had a closeness to that case, and it's been very unsettling to look into.
Yeah, no, it gets worse and worse. Like the fake suicide note, people stealing his files, the backstory going to Arkansas that he had to have known about, his friendships. It's just one of those really strange events, but it overlaps with kind of this show House of Cards. It's almost like that. It's like an event that happens in there where they off their rivals or off their, people who know too much. So
the one thing that I found that I'll never forget these words. I mean, I don't remember them exactly, but the sentiment, where he wrote in his suicide note, supposedly, but these words, they're so convicting, right? He wasn't made for life in DC. People here destroy each other for sport. That seems so true.
Yeah, but it's even more profound considering what if somebody else wrote that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The level, the depth of the evil and the acceptance of their own psychopathy, this is who we are.
One of the interesting hanging out with people in DC is like in offhand moments, I think 3 times in the 3 years I was there, I heard people say to themselves, like openly, I'm going to hell. Like they literally like, oh, I'm going to go get something to eat. And I had a bad day, man. Or like, this has happened. I'm going to hell. Like they just know it. Like, can you believe that? Like, it's like a self like realization or like acknowledgement that they're like deceptive people working for themselves. Yeah, they cross the line. So,
well, let me just ask you one thing.
Sure.
So within your Christian worldview and within mine, if we step back, it's hard to do this, but and just imagine, okay, the prince of this world actually is a being, named Lucifer, right? And he's referred to as the prince of this world because of the power that he has on offer and that he wields in this world. Looking around, looking at the political climate, and looking at how power is wielded and who lives in comfort and who doesn't, who goes without, and just the way things work. Do you have any trouble believing that and accepting that?
No.
Me neither. That's kind
Not at
of
all.
That's the grand unifying theory for me. But people think you're crazy when you start talking about the devil.
Yeah, no, I believe in evil kind of spiritual involvement as well as good. So I believe in God's hand. Just like this, I think this guy's had some kind of spirit of prophecy. This guy in the Hawaiian shirt, like that is incredible. So
it is incredible. You're right. It's easy to dismiss him, because there's so many hacks out there. But wow,
he almost has the right demeanor. Like he's not that flashy or anything, which I think it makes me like him more. He's not one of those like televangelists in the suits or something like that.
Yeah.
I need to find out more about that guy. But yeah, so I believe in that there's a spiritual influence on everything good and bad. And I mean, I just seen it in my I didn't confirm it. Like people say it's like, what is it? Reinforcing your already convictions. But like I see it play out in so many of the other things that I researched. This people who into the kind of dark side of things. So it's definitely there. I do believe in Luciferianism too. I mean, I've done these shows with like John Brisson where like the externalization of the hierarchy is flat out Luciferianism. Like that's what they believe. Like that's like they're telling you that's what they believe. Or Barbara Marx Hubbard, that's who they worship. They don't worship the God of the Old Testament or Jesus. This is they hate them. They don't like them. They're not of that house, so to speak. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And I mean, even have you ever heard the story of Hitler like having contact with an ascended master? When he was in the insane asylum, apparently he had a contact with the being of light.
What?
Like just
I didn't know. I knew he had like Blavatsky's book that he carried around.
Right.
So I guess it makes sense.
But go back and look for that history. I got to find it myself. Apparently, I have to confirm this, but he had this thing and it fits in with his Arianism and all that stuff is all Blavatsky, Alice Bailey. It's all externalization of the hierarchy. Nazism is Luciferianism. So our history is much more influenced. We can talk about George Bush, 9/11, all that stuff. Much more influenced by this kind of occult. And they deliberately occult it because they couldn't tell you what they really think without you going, I don't want you to rule over me. Right. So that's like part of the great deception is to, deny that they're really Luciferian. And some of these people are rough. Like Biden has always been corrupt. Like, I mean, I'm sorry. He's always been. And so you can get into kind of masonry and all that stuff. Like I published on my social media about 4 or 5 months ago, this article from the 1920s in DC, where it said 1/4 of the population of DC was in a secret society. So it's almost like this secret society war of like all these people are fighting around. Like I bet Trump is probably a Mason. I heard he does all kinds of weird hand gestures and weird.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
So
that's where my intuition goes. And when I say I think they're all just playing at this game to keep us divided, I don't put it past any of them, any of the players to be involved. So I don't know. And I would prefer that there is a good guy, but I just wouldn't expect that in the world that belongs to Lucifer or that's run by him. Where powers, he had the power to take Jesus up on the mountain and say, I'll give you this. That's a lot of power. If he has that power on offer, you'd assume he's still using it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that you see that with a lot of these very wealthy families and things like that. You find out their God is not the Jesus. It's not Jesus at all. It's something else. Like they have some kind of other spiritual world. And a lot of them have like occult advisors too, so like Crowley called himself the priest to the princes. So he was like this occult, Svengali or whatever you would call it, like Rasputin almost, right? Rasputin was like an occultist too, heavy occultist actually. There's a very strong occult kind of new age strain in Russian culture. So a lot of people don't know about that, but it's very prevalent if you're in it. But a lot of outsiders don't see it. But these are not uncommon. If you go back to a lot of the kings of France had like occultists too around. And I mean, it just
John
witches,
D.
John D, right? Yeah. It's it just kind of got sanitized, or that perception was sanitized. It wasn't fashionable in the educational. After they took Christianity out of there, it was like people forgot about it because nobody wanted to talk about it anymore. So
however it's being done, we can assume it's still being done and being presented in just the way that they want.
I would say so. I would say you're right. I think probably goes back to the oligarchs again. That's the way they want. That's their power. They certainly don't want an informed, spiritually minded, corrected, as this guy would say, population who's like have resurgence of kind of a great awakening, not the fake great awakening of the kind of New Agers, but like an authentic Christian one. I think is what this guy's definitely talking about.
Yeah.
I don't even know his name. Do you know his name? This guy in the green shirt?
Oh, no, I already closed that window.
Yeah, I don't know his name either.
Maybe it's better we don't say it.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good place to end. Maybe next time we can have a discussion about religious infiltration by I don't know, as my mind was trailing off into Catholicism, because that's kind of what we discussed at the end of our last talk. But
Yeah, no, that
yeah,
would be a good topic. Very good topic. But yeah, I think that today, I mean, this event with Trump was very profound and will reverberate for definitely for a long time. So I'm glad that we talked about it while it was fresh, because it's a good timestamp. It just shows how much information we kind of have and how much information is still to be ascertained. Like, I mean, it is incredible. It's an incredible event. But
it is.
Tanner Bracken, Bracken of the Outsiders. What you had a new podcast? It was Chinwag.
Chinwag, it's just a new format. So
New
it's still
format,
the
gotcha.
Outskirts podcast, but the Chinwag is just kind of, a lot of the other shows I'll edit and do sound effects and have fun, but this is just, kind of
Just
live
off the
stream
top, yeah.
discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Current
teach you how
events or whatever.
to use StreamYard. It's good. You can have a
Yeah.
lot, up to 10 people on here, so you could basically have like a a circle or whatever. You could
Oh,
do
that would
there.
be
Yeah,
awesome.
it's cool. It's pretty cool. All right, man. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Stay
Thank
there.
you, William.
Yeah, stay there. Thank you. Stay there.